Hello and welcome to a special Halloween edition of Sunday Live. I'm Pete Thorn, and what do we got here? Let's see. We got John, we got Lauren in the house, we got Mr. Ben Coombs. This mask's a little small for me, so unfortunately, I need to kind of look up with it so that I can see. I'm already vision challenged, so that coupled with well, it's just an issue. It's a problem. Happy Halloween, says Susan and Jason. What's happening, people? What's going on since we all saw one another last? Oh, brother. El Rondo's over in Germany. What's up? In the spirit. Oh, I did the minimum of effort. The minimum. The bare minimum. But having fun nonetheless. Byron's over there in Hawaii. Oh, God, I wish I was in Hawaii. A little early over there, but I wish I was there, let me tell you. One of these days I'll get back there. What else is happening? We got Bogeyman here. What's going on in Guitar Land? Did you guys see the video I did for the harmonic tremolo this week? Quite enjoyed that pedal from my friends at Jam Pedals. That's a good one. And it's got also amplitude tremolo mode as well as a harmonic mode, and I tried to describe the difference between the two and illustrate what's so magic about harmonic tremolo and why it's so fun. Uranus Oyster says, "Oh my God, Pete is Buckethead." Without the bucket, right? I would need the bucket. All right. It's awfully warm in there. All right. What do we got going on here? Let's see. What else am I working on right now? I'm working on a video for a Madman acoustic guitar. I'm just going to show it to you. These guitars from Australia, over there, over the pond. And this guitar has, maybe you can see it in the sound hole. You can easily see it. See that microphone right there? Kind of unique. You can see the condenser mic inside the sound hole. And you can blend that microphone with an undersaddle pickup on this guitar. And it works really, really well. Now, I would imagine with monitors, you're going to have to be careful with feedback and stuff like that, obviously, But it does have a very, very natural sound. So I'm working on a video for this guitar it's a review for Guitar World magazine. And the electronics are, I think, the most interesting thing about it. But it's a nice guitar. Madman guitars, like I say, made in Australia. I didn't know much about the company, but I looked up a little about it. And looks like they were formed in the company was made in the 40s, early 40s. So there was like no domestic guitar manufacturing going on any kind of, to scale. In Australia at that point. So a guy named I forget his name. Bill Matt. I'm forgetting his name now. But anyway, Madman is a combination of his name and tone. Bill May. That's it. Bill May, and it was May Tone. Anyway, that's where the company comes from. Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, Eric Johnson. Of course, Tommy Emmanuel, great Australian guitarist. Neil Finn, bunch of folks from Australia, but also folks outside Australia use it. Works really well. Let's see. Eric here is asking about a backpack pedal from JHS. I haven't seen that. No. Is this the brand that Tommy Emmanuel plays? Yeah, he's an endorser, evidently, as I understand it. It's a little bright. Let's see if I can turn down my screen a little. Now, leaving it out. Eric Johnson used that brand of Aussie guitar for touring. I could see why, because Eric is a tone guy, and I swear the pickup system, it's exceedingly simple, but it sounds quite natural with the microphone. You'll hear that in the video. I show it where I blend the mic with the pickup at different levels and stuff, and you can hear the results when I put the video out. It'll probably come out late next week. Yeah. So nice sounding guitar. Most of the video, I mic'd it for one little part in the video, but other than that, I'm using the internal pickup and microphone system to kind of illustrate the way that it sounds. And yeah. Thanks for all the Phil X videos, says Robert there in the super chat. Thanks for the super chat, my friend. So much to learn from him that is revealed in your interviews. GuitarCon, yeah, GitCon. Yeah, we had fun doing those. We had 2 good years in a row, pre-lockdown and all that. 2017, 2018 were really fun times hanging with him at that event. And I hope it happens again. I hope we get to go back because that was good times. It was when I discovered a different community outside of the music community. It's still a music community, but it's the guitar YouTube community that I could still travel and do things, like it's not like touring. It's like a different kind of travel, hanging out with guitar players and talking guitar and with it. And I was like, oh, this is a new little scene that I'm in. And it's all because of YouTube and stuff where I get to go and still see interesting parts of the world and travel and stuff, but it's just not exactly how I used to do it, or how I still do it sometimes, with tours and stuff. It's just like a different avenue that's opened up. So it's nice. And Phil and I, we would joke. It's like, I see you more in Germany than I do in, and he lives here. It's like, we never see each other here, but we see each other in like 2 kilometers from the Czech border in Germany all the time. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. How does that's a good question. How does the Freakout pedal compare to a Sustaniac? It's a little less predictable. Like I would say the Sustaniac just kind of grabs the note and does its thing, and it's somewhat predictable and it'll sustain it indefinitely. The Freakout won't do that because it still depends somewhat on the sound coming from the guitar. It doesn't drive the string. I mean, it has a little bit of especially if you got a bit of volume going with it, it's got a bit of a, if it develops feedback and the strings feeding back, then the strings sort of naturally will feed back a little bit too. So with any kind of volume, it helps to drive that cycle. But let's say you're just playing through headphones or something, you had them both on. Let's say you had a Sustaniac on first. Well, it would drive the string indefinitely. It will just keep going like an EBow, right? Whereas the Freakout depends a little bit on sound coming from the string. So if that sound fades at all naturally, which it will, then the Freakout will stop all of a sudden, So, but so it's a little bit of a different effect. That's the main difference, I would say. But it is similar in many ways, and obviously it's a pedal on a board, so it's easier to kind of, you don't have to sacrifice your regular neck pickup or whatever for it. So in my mind, it's a lot more, I don't know, it's just kind of fun. I really like the Freakout. It's a great tool for the studio too, for having in a room like this where I don't have a cab in here. It's isolated in another room, and you need to get a bit of feedback, a bit of like tail on a solo or whatever. It opens up a whole new thing if you do a lot of home recording or any kind of studio recording where you don't have a live cab. And lets you get some really great sounds that you can't get any other way unless you've got a Sustaniac. But I'd say it's even a little less predictable, and sometimes that's cool, than a Sustaniac. Because the Sustaniac had that kind of predictable, forever sustained sound, whereas this kind of will take off at a given, like real feedback, like a bit more, like kind of take off into some harmonic that you maybe weren't expecting, and then it takes you into another place. It's kind of cool, Do I sound like I like it? I do. I think it's a great pedal. After almost 3 years of saving, I scraped up enough for your signature guitar. That's amazing, man. Wow. Hope to get it in 5 to 7 weeks. That's awesome. What color did you get? I wonder. That's so cool, man. I mean, it's like there's something about saving up or, using, your savings for an instrument that's really special that like you know what I mean? Like when you have to work hard for something, there's something about it that makes it more, I don't know. Like then if you have all the money in the world or something and you right, there's something about it like where like whatever, you appreciate the value of a dollar and all that. I don't know, where it feels good when you can save for something or whatever, get it. And I still feel that all the time, for sure, like with close that. I lost my train of thought, sorry. The old phone. Let's see what else we got here. B Little says, is it possible to use something like the aux and 2 notes cab am at the same time and sum them via mixer for blending tones? You could, but I don't really think that, like in a Two Notes Cab M, you can already, with their software, with Wall of Sound. I don't know about like you can use at least a couple different cabinets to combine them into a sound. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you need to go beyond that really. Like I would probably personally never try and use an aux and Two Notes Cab M at the same time. I mean, you could. There's a way that I can think of doing it, but it would just be like kind of, if I was going to do that stuff, I would be using like Zilla, like a cab IR program in a computer, and then pull up, because in there you can have like, it's like a mixer, and you can have 8 IRs on like one on every channel. I would just do that. I would combine different IRs, and there's even like if you're using IRs from different companies, I think a lot of them will try and sort of phase align them and stuff like that, depending on the plugin. So those are better choices. Like I would do that stuff if I was going to do it in the computer. And I have done that stuff where I'm using, different IRs, but I don't tend to get, like I'll find one I like, and it's like, that's all I need. I'll tell you this much, like folks like Landau and Scott Henderson, like guitar players, really legendary guitar players with really great tones. Tend to like a 57 and that's it. One mic, like less is more. You don't get phase cancellation, everything you're looking for the guitar. Like I think Scott Henderson, the way he described Mike describing it to him, is that I get everything I want out of the 57. Like all the, the guitar tone when the 57 is in the right place, that's the sound. You could get a bigger sound by adding another microphone and stuff, but maybe then you're getting in the way of the keys or the other guitar player or the bass or whatever. So I don't necessarily feel that way about a 57 in particular, like that it gives me everything I want. I tend to blend mics, but I never really blend more than 2. At the most, I'm blending 2. I'll tend to these days kind of prefer a condenser and a 57. So I really like the Audio-Technica 4050, and I have that on my cab in the other room along with a 57. And the 4050 gives you this huge, broad, sort of accurate picture of what the cabinet looks like. And, sounds really great actually all by itself. And then the 57 does that more, sizzle pointed thing that the 57 does. So I like combining those two, but usually with the 47, usually with the 4050 at a lower level than the 57 a little bit. The 4050 sounds great all its own. I've spent years using ribbons too. And a ribbon gives you more of a warm, natural kind of sound than a condenser. The condenser's really got everything in it. The ribbon is, they sort of roll off. They have a softer top end. So that can be nice combining with the 57 too, because the 57's got all that slice in it already. But whatever, your mileage may vary with different microphones and stuff. But I digress. I would probably know. The main problem, the last thing I'll say about it, is that what you're going to run into is the phase is probably going to be a little different between the 2 microphones. You might get a little bit of a comb filtering effect because the Two Notes Cab M and the aux, both what you're going to be dealing with is some analog to digital conversion. And you might end up with, unless you come digital out of both of them, but if you're just using the 1/4-inch outs or whatever, balanced outs or whatever to go into your interface, one of them's probably got 1.2 milliseconds of latency, and the other one's probably like 1.6 or something, and it's because of the A to D conversion. And then those signals, one arrives just a few milliseconds later or whatever, and then it sounds kind of comb filtery when you bring it in. So that's the only thing. And all these things lead me to just like, it's too much hassle, to do. So, but if you want to do those things and you want to combine impulse responses, I would check out the Zilla from Get Good Drums, GGD. It's a impulse response program that lets you combine 7 or 8. Like it's a 7. It's kind of weird. It might be 7 channels instead of 8, I think. I could be wrong about that, but I'm thinking it's 7 for some reason. Anyway, but you can combine all those different IRs. There's also, was it STL Tones is that company that makes plugins and stuff, and they also have an IR loader, and their IR loader is really interesting for combining different IRs. It's like you can combine up to 6, I think, or something, and they give you this graphic representation of the 6 IRs within the plugin, and then there's a screen with like a ball in the middle. You can drag the ball around, and it kind of mixes between the IRs depending on how close you've got it to the. You see the IRs all lined up on the side. If it's right in the middle, I guess you're getting like an even blend of all the IRs. But if you pull it in any one direction, you'll hear it. The sound starts to change and favor some of them more than another. And if you get all the way over to close to one of them in the, you can see, it's hard to explain, but you'll see it if you take a look at the plugin. Can't remember the name of that plugin, but it's from STL Tones, and that would be a cool way to blend impulses in the way that you wish. Remer Monsma says, "Oh, doesn't say anything, and he's somewhere in Europe, and he's in the super chat, and I appreciate you, my friend. I do." John's talking about when I was talking about saving for something, lots of saving for a big reward. Yeah, it's cool when you get something that, you know, that you make an investment and, you know, into something, get something that is really cool. You know, for me, I mean, probably the biggest investments I've made are the vintage guitars I've gotten, and it always feels like, because I never buy them like on a whim. It's always like, I really love this thing. I'll go back and visit the store and fit, you know, like my old Strat. I went there like 3 days. I was only in Nashville for 3 days, but I went back a couple days in a row, you know, and I had my friend Yogi go with me and play the guitar while I listened to him play. And he also played like a 61 Strat, a 63. And like, I listened to it on all the pickups and really like without me playing. So I could just hear the guitar, really trying to see if it was in the ballpark of these other ones that were actually quite a bit more expensive because they were earlier. It's kind of amazing. Like a 64 or 5 can be much less than a 61. Why? I don't know. I guess as you get closer and closer to CBS, they go a little bit down in price. So that's why mine was a little more affordable. But I love 64s. There's, I think, some of the best. So anyway, I had to really think about it and then decide to do it. And then, you know, it's fun if you can do those things and, you know, make the investment. Worked all summer to buy my first guitar, a Jackson Fusion. I still have it. That's cool. I don't have my first guitar, and I wish I did. It's the one on the cover of the Guitar Nerd album. Just a plywood Hondo, and I wish I still had it. So, anyways, what else we got here? Have you ever had a Joel Hoekstra on the show? No, I would love to do that, actually, though, because Joel and I went to school together. We went to MI together. I remember him as a very young lad at MI, and he was a ripper back then. He was just as tall. He was very tall. He's always been very tall, like a rock god. Great guitar player and really nice guy. But yeah, we were class of September 90. Long time ago at MI. Oh, speaking of which, just coincidentally, that's right above there. How was your experience? Well, I was hanging with Joel. And it was really good. You know, the school has changed hands maybe twice since I was there, gone through different, you know, iterations. But I think it's a really good place to go. I have no idea what it costs anymore. I remember it got very expensive. Tuition when I went was $6,300, I think, for the year. I think it's easily tripled, you know, maybe, you know, something like that. But it was great, man. It got me into LA. That's number one. Because, you know, I'm from Canada. I didn't have a visa. I didn't have all the things, you know. So it was a way to come to the U.S. and, you know, on a, you know, legally, obviously, and like move and be in the country and experience it and stuff like that. And then beyond that, I had to sort of sink or swim, figure out, you know, my life, you know, after I graduated. But it was like, it was a, you know, legit. I was going to a school because I was 19, right? My folks were like, you're going to move to Los Angeles? What? So going to a school seemed like a legit, you know, it wasn't just like, I'm picking up and going to pursue my rock and roll dream. I'm going to hang out at the Rainbow or whatever. It was a bit more of a, you know, to them seemed like it made more sense, I guess. But they were still worried about it, but rightly so. Hollywood and Highland was no joke in 1990. But anyway, like, what did I learn there? Whatever theoretical knowledge I have, I guess I probably learned there, which I don't feel like I still consider myself sort of an uneducated street guitar player, rock guitar player, you know, but I kind of know what I'm doing. And that 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 I learned that there. So those things for sure. I never felt like it was academically like it's not like Berkeley or something where, they really maybe I get the impression that it's much more of an academic school like Berkeley, and that, you've got you might come out better educated. If there's anything bad back then, at least when I went, I felt like it wasn't that hard to graduate really from MI. But maybe come out the other end not being a great guitar player. Like you could pass the curriculum and stuff. It was about applying yourself. You had to apply yourself, and the opportunities were there to hang out with folks like Scott Henderson and Jennifer Batten, these people that were there. And if you applied yourself, there was a lot to learn, but you weren't going to automatically just go through the curriculum and then maybe be great. But maybe that's any school. I don't know. Some of the most important things I learned there, I think, were real world street kind of stuff. Like, believe it or not, like, which might seem ironic in a school, but they did have these great live performance workshops where they would throw you in. It was kind of basically like a jam club environment, really. And it was sink or swim. You had to get up and play with maybe a drummer you hadn't played with or a bass player, unrehearsed, and make music. You might have a song that you all knew you were going to play, that everybody had rehearsed for it, but there was a lot of variables. The amp, you just plugged into whatever, some PV solid state thing and played, dialing a tone in like 10 seconds, and then play. And then the teachers would kind of critique you. And it was those experiences that I really remember shaping. Like I learned a lot doing that. Because I was still really young. I'd played in clubs and stuff, but I hadn't like toured or done anything like that. And it was my, I clearly remember also getting, like hanging with these people. That was my first time hanging with really like legendary pros, like Tim Bogert. Here I am, I'm 19, I'm on stage with Tim Bogert, and he's, we're playing some song and I don't know it, but I'm hanging, after 6 or 8 months at school, and he's like just showing me the changes, 2 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. Well, he's playing bass from across the stage and he's cueing me, and I'm like, oh, I'm there, I'm doing this, and that was really amazing. Like, I don't know, like, how you think back 30 years and remember specific things, but not everything about it. That's the one moment I remember at MI was Tim cueing me on stage. And, sort of, also he gave me I've talked about it before, but some great advice on singing, like how to sing sort of fearlessly. And we can get past your fear of, because I wasn't like a natural born singer. So how to tackle that. And stuff, So anyway, overall, nothing but good. I mean, it sent me on a path, and it also, through MI's referral service, that's how I met. Long story short, I'll tell it short. That's how I met Frank Symes, who was the guy that I eventually, I got in a band with, got my first record deal with, and then ended up calling me to audition for Don Henley many years later. And then I ended up in Don's band, replacing him when he left to go play with Roger Daltrey 19 years later, in 2009. So, I made connections there that ended up affecting me way, way later on down the road with my life. That's how I ended up in Don's band, was really because of coming out of MI. Otherwise, I never would have met Frank. So everything would have been different. So it had, it has ramifications going forward way, way down the road, I guess. So it was a good experience for me. That's my spiel on MI. Do you know when Two Notes will release your cab bundle? So I believe it's coming out in December, around the 1st, I think, as far as I know. So you're reminding me, I've got about a month now to get a video together for that and stuff and show it off. But yeah, it's going to be great. It's really, really good. Really, really good. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to light that up. But hi, Paul Leonard Ewing. What's up? I like the way you make your own music. Hey, I appreciate that. Thanks, man. That's the most important thing to me, is being creative and doing my own thing. So moving forward, that's the most important. I love dabbling and playing other people's stuff too, but I'm a songwriter and I like to do my own thing, and it feels good. So I really appreciate your support with that, because it's tough to do your own thing these days, right? Everybody, they love covers and stuff, but anyway, I'm happy to keep moving forward and writing songs and stuff. I ran a neo dim magnet over my humbucker. Can it be saved? It's dead. Geez, I don't know that. That's a question for a qualified tech. I would assume that if you killed the magnet, you could just replace the magnet, but I've never heard of that happening before. But you can get replacement magnets. Look on Sumac. They probably sell them. Pickup magnets for sale. Google search it. You'll find like where you can get different magnets, and you know, you could try different ones. Try an Alnico 5 or ceramic or Alnico 2. You can order them and replace them. That's the only thing that I think of that would kill it if you wrecked up magnetism, I would think. Anyway, what else we got here? You guys are saying I should do another Doug interview. I love Doug from King's X. He's cool, man. He's good people, and he does have a new record out. I haven't checked it out yet. I gotta give it a listen. What do I think about the Evertune bridge? It's a cool thing. I would love to have one on one guitar around here. When I saw Steve Stevens use it, I really understood kind of, it was very interesting. Like he has it on some down-tuned guitars, and he was using it with this band that he was doing Deadland Ritual for a little while. And so he had it on these down-tuned, like tuned to drop C sharp kind of guitars. And they were so in tune. Like I saw them play live at the Troubadour, and the guitar was just like, for being as low as it was like, wow, is that guitar ever in tune? So it was interesting. He mentioned to me that you can set it up like you can set it up on like so that, you know, like bends still work, right? Because it might compensate if you bend and then just keep the string in if it's set kind of extreme, you know. But if it's set right on the edge, you can make it so it's more natural. So bends still work. Well, you can do the same thing with the low strings, like the way that you set it. I guess, you know, maybe if you hit it hard, maybe it pulls a little sharp for a second, like a normal guitar would, normal guitar bridge, where you can set it to be very kind of steely in tune. But he said that was almost unnatural. He said like he would do a double if it was set up too much that way, hard panned left and right with the Evertune drop tune. And he said it sounded like one guitar without any of the pitch variation that you would normally get, which is part of what makes it sound kind of stereo and fat when you do a double. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But I would love to have one on one guitar, you know, around here. The guy has contacted me and asked me to do videos for it numerous times, but it's just like, how am I going to do that? Like, I wanted to do it on a Sur, but they were like, well, then we'll have to build a custom guitar for it. I could do it to an existing guitar I have, I guess, and have it installed, but now I'm thinking about the other 5,000 things I have to do every week, you know, like we all have to do. And I'm like, and then I just forget, and then I don't do it, and I don't follow up on it. That's the honest truth. You know, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, so who would I get to do that? And then how would I? And then what does this email say over here about this other thing that I got to do today? And that's honestly the way that it's gone. So I would say that if the fellow's listening, nice gentleman that makes it, because he's a cool guy. Maybe the angle is to just send me a guitar that's got it on it already, and it's all set up and ready to go and stuff like that. And then I could make a video of that and then send it back, that kind of thing. That would probably be the most efficient way for me to do it, because I would be interested in doing that. Okay, sorry. Have you considered putting your demo songs on Spotify? They are fantastic. Peter Day. Thanks, man. You know, I thought about doing more about a Patreon thing where like kind of like Leo does from Frog Leap, where like you can get all his music like, because the demo songs are just demos. They're not really like finished, but I recognize that folks have said, I like these and I would like to listen to them. So it's like, well, why not then? But I thought about doing a Patreon thing where it's like, if I make a video, like kind of like Leo does, where every time he does a new video, he's got a 99-cent level where it's like, if you're a real fan, you want to see the video, you like the music, you give him 99 cents when he makes the video, but you get access to all of his music for that. Like you can download everything. And I thought maybe that's what I would do, like do a Patreon where it's just like I put like 400 songs up on Patreon, you know, and you can have them all, you know, if you sign up for my Patreon at the $1 level or whatever. And you know there's going to be more coming all the time. So like for a small fee, you get access to a gajillion different little pieces of music that, you know, 1 minute, 30-second things. So Wasn't your music on DistroKid? Yeah, no, I have things on DistroKid, and I have like, everything's on. Everything's supposed to be on streaming. I haven't. I believe Guitar Nerd is on Apple Music as well as my second album, Pete Thorn 2. Spotify, I'm still a little not like, I haven't looked on Spotify to see if it's showing up yet. But I had so many problems with those guys, and I hate Spotify. So that's the thing. Like, I know it's the way that everybody listens to music and stuff, but just screw that company, because they're just, everybody's just like, they just want to destroy like the way that, they don't want to pay artists. Basically, it's such a like a, I feel like there's such a bottom feeder company where it's just like, they're just like, the guy is worth billions of dollars that owns Spotify, and they are negotiating to pay artists less and less and less all the time. So he's like, I'm sure he's thinking, I'm a multi-billionaire. I want to make as much money as possible, and I'm going to milk this thing as hard as I can for the next 20 or 30 years that I'm still alive, and beyond that, screw it, because I don't care. I swear that's what it feels like to me, because it's like, you're not going to have people. I mean, people they're going to modify the way they make money playing music and stuff. But really, if you're not willing to pay like an artist for, the streaming and stuff, then what's the motivation for people? Kids are going to want to do other things. They're going to be a musician. It's like, can't have a career doing that. I got to work at 7-Eleven too if I'm going to be a musician. That's my thinking about it anyway. But it's like, it just kind of sucks, So I don't even pay attention to Spotify. It's just like, they're just assholes, to be honest, Richard says, I use Apple Music because Spotify sucks. And I don't even know if Apple's that much better, really, but it seems like they're somewhat. I mean, like, I don't know, at least I've made, some money like selling music off the Apple Store, off the iTunes Store over the years and stuff. And it was reasonable. It was like it felt fair, like fair enough, I guess, that I could upload a track via DistroKid or something to Apple Music, and then people would purchase it, and I could make an appeal to fans like, hey, you can stream it, but if you buy it, it's helpful for the artist or whatever. And they would, and then it's kind of, Lauren says, I so agree about Spotify. Songwriters in North America is fighting for that cause. It's just, like, what's the, we're just gonna like completely, like, they just basically, they want to get the catalog that's already out there now. They want to stream the Beatles and U2 and like every band under the sun, pay those bands next to nothing, and just reap the benefits of being like, we are the monopoly on the music business. We have all the music, and like artists are like, but what happened? We can't make a living anymore. And then, like, what's the motivation for new artists to do anything? It's just weird. It's just a stupid model. It's dumb. So that's why I say I don't even care. It's like, what if I just put it up on Patreon? Now I've got a little thing with, because you guys know me. I'm like it's like the keeping it small but keeping it all kind of. Even though Patreon they take their own cut, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I'd rather have a relationship with 10,000 people out there in the internet land than be on Spotify and have like, I'm still on Spotify, but it's like, that's not what I don't know, whatever, so it just sucks, streaming sucks, full stop. Let's go back to the days of rooting through the vinyl section. Well, and there, like, I was just in Oshkosh, Wisconsin a couple weeks ago, and there was great record stores there. Small town. I mean, it's like, a few square blocks, like the town. And great vinyl stores, 2 of them that I found that were like, it's a thing, like people, and I love that. And it's still like it's just more fragmented now and it's smaller, but that's what I mean. You can print up some LPs and stuff and maybe, connect with your fans directly and do that thing. Who cares about streaming? Is like something I've just like, just whatever, just put it out there. I recognize a lot of people are going to listen to that, but I'm more interested in this other stuff, at least like this, like how I can make a custom, like, do something on vinyl or do something with a lesson attached to it, or that's a smaller thing that I can combine with income from, doing other work, touring, maybe developing and R&D and selling signature equipment, and like all these different ways you can make money as a musician now so that you can have a living and you don't have to like become a stockbroker or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but anyway, add Spotify to the Sue Everything Fund. Yeah, but they've got all the money in the world and they've got all the lawyers, so we're not going to get anywhere, It's like, if you can't beat them, join them thing, I guess. Just put your music out there, but I hate it, and I don't like them as a, like, I don't, how everybody puts up those, however many, look how many streams I got on Spotify this year, thanks to my fans. It's like, yeah, that's great, but I don't even look at it. Like, I don't even want to know because I don't like it. I don't like that people listen to it that way. I don't know. It just sucks, but I sound like an old curmudgeon, but if they just paid, like if they were Apple Music and iTunes Store, which has been pretty good for me. Now, I don't know, but going forward, I bet Apple's going to, they're just going to jump on board and do the same thing probably. And right, they're probably fighting like to pay artists less and But anyway, great to see you live again. Thank you. Do you have any Line 6 Helix patches or cabinet IRs available anywhere? I don't. I do have Line 6 Helix patches. There's two that come, or one that comes with the Helix now that's called Pete's Duotone or something like that. So it was a sound I made. It's a really cool preset if you haven't checked it out. That's got two sounds that you can A-B between, and there's a looper in there. So the idea is with the lower gain one, and it's kind of a lower gain vibey kind of Fendery thing, you could make a rhythm loop, and then the other one's got more gain and it's a lead sound, and you can make your rhythm loop and then jam on top of it with the lead. And so that's a patch that I made for them that you'll find. But I need to make a pack for them, and I've talked about doing it for years, and I just haven't yet. And it's just one of those things that I got to do. I have to sit down for like, I think if I took 2 days and just made a bunch of Helix presets and then made a pack, that's my, I should just book the time really and be like, all right, November 14th and 15th are a Helix patch day. I'll make the coolest patches I can and then, put them out. Musicians are tired of being screwed. Musicians unions a thing? Not really. The lack of an effective union is real. That was a big part of why things are the way that they are, because we're not, we don't have a SAG or an AFTRA. There's the stupid musicians union, which was good for pretty much nothing my whole recording career. I mean, I would, I still make money from it. The musician secondary markets fund and like there's different things where if you play music, there's things that are still tightly regulated as far as getting paid. If if your music is, featured in television or in movies or, it's tightly regulated. Certain sessions, tightly regulated union sessions, but a lot of it is just the Wild West now. And the union they lost control many years ago. And they also just didn't keep with the times. And there was never a live union. I mean, you're supposed to be in the union if you tour. Did anybody ever, like my whole, 20 years of from 2000 to 2020, did anybody, was me being in the union ever a factor with any live gig that I ever did? As far as, okay, on television, yes. Television performances, yes. Other than that, venues like on tour, Don Henley, Chris Cornell, Melissa Etheridge, any of those guys, nobody cares if you're in the union. It's not a factor, which is part of what makes every time you get a new touring gig a negotiation. You're not, there's no, I mean, it's just not, none of that money goes through the union and none of it is regulated by the union. I'll just say that. So it's supposed to be, but it's not. So, anyway, Film Actors Guild is quite effective. Yes, it is. I've worked for, I've done acting as a guitar player in movies and stuff. And I quickly learned that you can make more money acting like a guitar player than you actually can being a guitar player. That's the truth. If you're on if I was in a couple of terrible, okay, this is funny. You can go back and you can find this. I was in one of the worst movies ever made, which is Coyote Ugly. I'm in that movie playing guitar. I'm sorry if I've told this story before and anybody's heard it, but a friend of mine did the shoot for the movie. And then they decided, this is how you know when a movie's going to be bad, when they're still shooting the movie about 3 weeks before it's released to cinemas. So they were reshooting the last scene of the movie because they decided to change the song that's at the end of the movie, which was this Leanne Rimes song called Can't Fight the Moonlight, if anybody remembers it. And so they're reshooting that scene, and like her dad was John Goodman is in the audience, and stuff, and he's like all stoked, and she's up there performing on stage. So they'd already shot the scene. It was a different song. Then they decided to change the song for whatever reason. Now they need to reshoot it. Well, this guy Trace Ritter was the guitar player in the band, the house band or whatever, her band that was on stage during that scene. It's supposed to be at Bowery Ballroom in New York or something. Actually, a sound stage on the Sony Studios of Los Angeles. But anyway. So they'd shot the scene and need to reshoot it. He's on tour with his band. He had a band called Chalk Farm. And they're like, well, we need to reshoot it. He's like, oh, I'm in, whatever. I'm on the East Coast. I can't reshoot it. You're going to have to get somebody else. They still wanted to use a bunch of the long shots because it doesn't matter what song you're playing. If it's like a long, like way back in the club shoot, right? It was the close-ups where she's actually singing and you see the band playing where it matters. So they wanted to be able to use all those shots. And so anyway, they needed somebody to look like Trace. Well, I had the same hair. I was about the same build. I got a hold of the same guitar, and they got me to do it. So anyway, I went down and did a day, for 2 days of work. And the first day was, we didn't do anything. We sat around. They weren't ready to, and so it was like we were just on call. We ate craft service. We did nothing for about 8 hours, and we went home. Still got paid, of course. More on that in a second. I'm telling the story for a reason. So the second day I come back. That day we kind of worked. Did a bunch of shooting and bunch of scenes, reached, close-ups, like whatever, long shots, close-up shots on all the musicians and stuff. We worked pretty hard that day. We also were supposed to have, this is where the union part comes in. We were supposed to take a lunch at a certain point. They mandate that after a certain amount of hours on the set that it's lunchtime. Well, they delayed that by about an hour or two. I didn't notice. I didn't care. Wasn't hungry, but went to lunch and had lunch an hour late or whatever. And it was cool. Came back, worked more, worked a couple hours of overtime actually. So we might've been there 10 hours all day. So it was a good long day of, like, it was like, wow, I actually I didn't have to play. I was acting like I was playing, but a lot of hurry up and wait. And then doing the same thing over and over again. I got the first check, and it was like $5,000 or something. And I thought, what? Like, that's a lot of money. I thought I was going to make whatever. Well, anyway, it was SAG day player rate, which is kind of like one step under having a speaking role in a movie or a film. And like, it's like above if you're an extra or something. And so because they delayed the lunch on day 2, and because we went overtime a couple hours, they were fined or whatever. And we get that money for the delayed lunch or whatever. And then the overtime hours as well. And it was like a pretty sick payday. It was like nice for a couple days work, and a couple days work, that's why I say you can make more money acting like a guitar player than you can as a guitar player. And then I got residuals and I still get residuals from that. Like every 6 months, I get a residual check or whatever. It'll show up $73 from Coyote Ugly streaming, So imagine if you did that like your whole life, and how many residual checks like if you could hook it up and play a musician in film and TV like over and over and over again over the years for a while, you would get residual checks till the day you died for, like a little bit of money, like a little bit of mailbox money all the time that shows up. Anyway, so I've done that, and I've done another couple things like that over the years, and it's just interesting. Another way to make money as a musician. Easy money, holy moly, says Michael. Yeah, it's a good racket. But anyway, the musicians union was never effective like SAG. Even AFTRA, right? So AFTRA and SAG have now merged, right? But I'll tell you this much. When I used to go and do television a lot, like when I was doing the Tonight Show or whatever, Jimmy Kimmel or these different shows, the trick was when you're doing TV, you always want to sing, because if you sing, you can run the money through AFTRA as a union. And at one point I became an AFTRA member because I was doing so much TV that it was about $1,000 to join AFTRA, but it comes back to you. And I'm going to tell you why. Musicians union dues, whatever, a few $100 or whatever to get into the union. But if you went and did a TV show, they would pay you, whatever union scale is for, and you could either run, because you're on TV, right? So you could either run through the musicians union playing, or you could go through AFTRA if you were singing. You had to be singing to go through AFTRA. So the trick was you always wanted to sing, because then this is why. AFTRA scale was like $750 or something for back then. That's what you'd make for one performance on TV. So you were probably getting paid by the band. If you're on tour or something, you make a stop to do a television show somewhere, you're making your tour pay or whatever. But then you're also going to get paid through the union for the show, right? By the television, station or whatever, by the, whatever it is, whoever pays for, the to have you on those shows, they have to pay, right? So through not the station, but I sound like an idiot, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Like, go through the musicians union, you're going to get your union scale, which was, did I even say? It was like $300, or it could be $298 or $350 or whatever it would end up being at the end of the day. You get paid, or you go through AFTRA and it's $750 just because you were singing one line or what. So you always wanted to see if you could sing, because then you could go through AFTRA. And I realized AFTRA was such a good racket that it was like I joined, because it just made sense. I was doing a lot of television over, one couple of year period, and I joined, and then I would always make sure I was singing and going through after it. Sometimes you do 2-3 shows in a week. It adds up, It's like if you were doing like a promo run through New York City or whatever and doing some late night, and some of the daytime TV shows and morning shows like Good Morning America or whatever, that stuff. So anyways, SAG goes balls to the wall for its members. Yeah, it's in my experience, and not to mention the healthcare and benefits and all that stuff. And, if you're an orchestral musician, you're in a symphony or, then the musicians union seems to make a lot of sense and takes good care of you and stuff. And it's a holdover from that, but it didn't transition well into, rock and roll and doing, just, I don't know. So anyways, these tips are priceless, says Kevin. I'm glad you appreciate it. I've never talked about this stuff, but this is things I've never even thought about. But yeah, if you get a gig and I think about it, but I've never, I guess, when you're like, oh, what am I going to tell people they need to know? But I guess I do know a few things. But if you get in a band and you're doing TV, always try and sing and join after. You will make more money. That's just, that's just the fact. But anyways, Jason, I am calling you out for Frampton 2. I would love to have him on. I'll send you 20 euros. That's got to be worth your while. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Bribe a tech into putting a mic in front of you. You know what's funny is sometimes we'd say we were singing and then we wouldn't because there wouldn't be a background vocal part. Be like, oh yeah, I gotta sing, and you just walk in front of the mic sort of sometimes. But the mic would disappear after sound check if you didn't actually sing. Like all the the guys on the shows are hip to the game. So if you didn't actually sing, then they would. Anyways. Lawrence says, I believe I still have Coyote Ugly on VHS. I didn't make the connection. Yeah, you can see me at the end. I'm in there. It's pretty funny. It's such a bad movie. Oh, man. But I love that. I love the idea of like one of my favorite movies of all time is Showgirls because it's like probably the worst movie ever made, I think. And there's only one worst and one best, really. There can only be one. It's all a matter of opinion. But come on, Showgirls is probably the worst movie ever made. It's amazing. You've seen it, right? When she's hitchhiking at the beginning, going to Vegas to make her way as a showgirl, and she gets in the guy's truck. The guy gets a little fresh, tries to put his arm around her. She pulls out a knife and goes, chill. That's how the movie starts. It's the worst movie of all time. I think my top chat got missed. That's Arthur, I'm sorry. Let me see if I can find it. There you are. Sorry, buddy. I saw an Instagram post by a super A-list artist with his Diamond Award for 1 billion streams from Spotify and a reply saying, enjoy your $3. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Peter Frampton, he said, 20 million streams, whatever, and it comes to $2,600 or something. It's not a way to make, you couldn't sustain a career if that's how you were making your money. It's not. Whereas it used to be like record sales was, you could become a very wealthy person off of, and even then it was screwed. I mean, it was like, how many points does an artist get on record? Anywhere from really bad deal like 9 or 10 to like maybe if you've got a great deal 14 or 15, probably somewhere in the middle for most artists, and that's percentage of the wholesale price of the record, right? So, artists were getting nothing. Like back when CDs are $14.99 or whatever. I mean, the artist would, if you were able to eke out $6 or $7 an album or something, you were. I mean, not even that, right? It's like, and people still made way more money back then. So we see why folks like, the old school folks, that want to protect that are so sort of militant about it. Guys like Henley and folks like that. I mean, it was a good system that they did really well under. So when you feel that system slipping away, of course but I also recognize that it was a moment in time that seems to be lost, and it's really unfortunate. But people are figuring out other ways to do it. So, other ways to earn a living and play music and stuff. So, what's this movie? I've never seen Zardoz. Never heard of that one. Worst movie ever. Okay. What else we got here? Sorry, better late than never, says Stealth Parrot. Great to have you here. Great to have you here. Have you checked out Peter Frampton's Reverb page? Some gems on there. I haven't, actually. I haven't seen that. I should get a Reverb page going. You're just making me think. I need to get it rocking. Got a few things that I need to sell. Some spring cleaning to do that others might, be able to use. Yeah. What's your preference for a wah pedal? One that works. One that doesn't break on me, because a lot of them tend to break on me. I've had a lot of busted switches, and they turn it on and there's no sound coming out all of a sudden. But anyways, honestly, some of my favorites, a lot of Dunlop ones I think are great. I've got a Dunlop Mini on my board now, and it's my favorite because it works good and it's small. We talked about it last week a little bit, how I have trouble hitting it with boots, but other than that, I really like it. You gotta wear shoes to use it because it's tiny. But some of the other ones I really liked over the years were the BBE, the Axis, the one that Mason got in trouble over. The Axis wah, but the BBE, kind of whatever their vintage wah is, it's a great sounding wah. I've used the Van Halen wah for a number of years. I got a couple of those, and I enjoyed it as well. The Exotic was cool. I really like the John Petrucci wah, which has this really throaty, kind of big, gnarly sound to it. It was really cool. So I like that one a lot. But I'm not a wah aficionado, having said all that. I like the Friedman wah, too. I used it in a recent video. It sounded good. It's got a cool kind of Clyde McCoy or whatever, I don't know, like 60s, aggressive thing that I liked. But yeah, I don't feel like there's some guys that they really know the difference with, the different wahs and stuff. And I'm like that with Univibes too. I don't feel like I have somewhat of a handle on it, but like Steve Stevens is a real Univibe aficionado, and he knows like when it sounds right, So, anyways, Ian saw Showgirls in the theater. What did you think? What about the scene in the pool? The sex scene in the pool. She looks like a dolphin. It's like being killed. Oh, man. You guys are making me happy this week. Oh, God, that's a funny movie. If you haven't seen Showgirls, check it out. If you like bad movies, it's a classic. Have a half cup of coffee. I will do it. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go down to the bottom of the chat here and see what we got down here. Dimebag was very versatile. He used the wah a lot. I mean, he would know, I heard the Jerry Cantrell one's really good too, but that I haven't had a chance to try. I know it's a favorite of Friedman's. Yeah. The real My Knees Hurt says I have no idea how to use a wah pedal. It's a funny thing. I don't feel like I do also, but then when I go, maybe I should try the wah on this, and then I use it, it's always the right choice because I use it so infrequently. I think that it when you do break it out, it's like, oh, that's cool. It really adds something. It's when you lean on it, no pun intended, too much. Sorry. That was bad. Brent Box, just a little support. Thank you, my friend, for the super chat. Happy Halloween, everybody. We got 410 people online. It's great to have you all here. And some good times. Maybe we should go back to the house for a little bit. Why not? It's Halloween, so. Who else we got here? You click the button, then wah. Yeah. How about you click the like button, then wah? Click the thumbs up. Let's see. The Steve Vai Bad Horsey's excellent. That's optical, right? So it's Morley with it. The advantage to that is the having the it looks like I got a double chin. I guess I do because this mask is too small for me. You don't have to hit a switch to turn it on. It just knows, right? When you're on the pedal, and then it just works, which is nice. Yeah. Is that a Boy George mask? Oh, brother. Javier, happy Sunday, man. For sessions, if not using digital, when you can simply save presets, in the analog world, do you have a method for recall for potential overdubs. You know, man, people used to just take pictures or notes, you know, and honestly, you can just take pictures of your pedals, of where the knobs are, and the knobs on your amp. And you know, in like Logic, you can actually store the photos in the session. It lets you. There's a way that you can upload photos into Logic so that you can like store, you know, store photographs so that you can see your settings. My buddy John Button taught me that, so that's kind of cool. So yeah, what did your parents do for a living? Well, my dad was a car dealer. He worked at he had a Ford dealership, Derek Thorn Ford Sales in Leduc, Alberta. He sold a lot of trucks, sold a lot of cars. Leduc is like a bedroom community and kind of like a outside of Edmonton, but also became kind of a. I mean, there's a lot of like, you know, there's like oil and natural gas and stuff that happens out there, and you know, there's farms and stuff. So those were a lot of his customers, folks that were in those industries and stuff, and he sold cars and trucks. My mom later on in life actually became very successful selling women's clothes. Like she was the #1 salesperson for Escada Canada for a little while. I was proud of her for that, which is like high-end, you know, older, I wouldn't say older women, but you know, it was like, you know, more mature clothing for ladies. That was very expensive, you know, $1,000 pantsuits and things. But anyway, she did really, really, really well selling clothes, working there as well as some other places. But earlier on, when I was young, she was a stay-at-home mom. Yep. What was your first car or truck? Toyota Celica that was converted to a convertible. I have a picture I can show you next week. It was a car that got traded in at my dad's place, and then it became my first car. And then I would drive it. That car was useless in the wintertime, and it literally had a chopped top and nothing but a soft top on it. And so, yeah, -30 in Edmonton, that wasn't going to fly. So I used to drive like a sort of base Mustang or something when I was. And for a while, I drove a '72 Mustang. That was my grandmother's that she didn't need. So I drove that too. That was pretty cool. When I was a kid. Thanks for the super chat, Peter Day. Really appreciate it. Yeah. What else we got here? Cell phone pictures for analog presets. Exactly. That's the way to do it. Take pictures of your pedals. Yeah. My first car was also a Toyota Celica. They were really good. They had an engine in them that wouldn't quit. I mean, it was the 20R Toyota engine, I think. And I remember a lot of mechanics telling me this was one of the best motors they ever made. It was just super easy to work on, really reliable. My first car was a '77 Celica, probably similar motor. I think mine was an 80. I think it was 80. Not a great car in some ways, but like really, really good motor. I remember that. It was just, yeah. Anyways, what gig scared or intimidated you the most? Probably, you know, playing with Don was high pressure. I don't want to use the word scared, but there's a high level of expectation about, you know, about delivering. So the most pressure that I felt was, I have to say, probably doing that gig. But, you know, it was also a great sense of relief, a great sense of accomplishment once you got through a gig and it was a job well done and stuff. And it was like, you know, it's high level stuff. There's the weight of the music that you have to represent the music properly. You want him to be happy. You know, at the end of the day, if the boss is happy and have a good show and everything, then if he's happy, we're happy, you know? So, but that's tall order. He's a legend, you know? So it's like you had to really, and the songs are legendary. Yeah. What's your favorite oversaturated tone? Fun as hell to play. Well, probably fuzzes. Just gnarly, you know, like, I mean, when I hit my, you know, I've got a muff style on my board and it's so fun to play solos. So it's just that endless sustain that you can get. I mean, we see why Gilmour and different people used it because it's so expressive to have that. It's like a, you know, it's kind of one sound. You don't really use the controls on your guitar and stuff. And There's not a hell of a lot of difference between the neck and the bridge pickup, but you can hit it and play a solo, and it's, you know, it's pretty cool. You know, so fuzzes are my favorite. Super oversaturated. You know, the Bumble Buzz by, you know, if you guys ever saw my video for that pedal from Jack White, it'll make your Strat sound the same as your Les Paul, and it doesn't matter what amp you're plugged into, and it just is a one sound. There's no knobs on the pedal; it's just an on-off switch. But it's a great sound, you know, and it's fun. It inspires a certain kind of playing and riff, you know. Let's see here. Difference between using OD on a dirty amp with low gain and high volume, or using an OD with more gain at unity volume. Okay, let me read that again. Difference between boosting using OD, overdrive, a dirty amp with low gain and high volume, or using an overdrive with more gain at unity volume. Well, you're going to get more of the overdrive character of the overdrive pedal one way. The other way is more natural to me. Like if you're kicking an amp, my favorite thing to do is not use too much of the overdrive in the pedal. Usually, it's no hard and fast rule, but like use a little bit of the gain in the pedal, like you would with a Klon, right? But with the volume set to boost. And then it has this kind of quality where it mixes a little bit of the drive character of the pedal as well as the tone that it imprints, but it's really boosting as well into the, you know, if you go the other way with it, the sound can tend to sound a little more, I don't know how to describe it, but it's sort of a little bit more compressed and maybe fake or something, or like just kind of the sound of that. And, you know, it's the sound of a 9-volt overdrive pedal, just that kind of simulated tube overdrive sound, as opposed to more of the sound of the actual, you know, amp running at super high voltage, preamp tubes doing their thing and the power section doing its thing. It's like a little more, you know, compressed and just not maybe as dynamic. And there's just this thing, you know, I don't know how to describe it, like that actual tube amps do when you use them. I just feel like that it'd be great for people a lot of times, for people to experience what an actual Plexi does, you know, or what a, you know, Crank Tweed Deluxe does, you know, and play it at volume, get used to it, feel what that feels like, and why that's so cool. Because it's so the thing that's different about it is it's so expressive and it's so dynamic, and the volume gives you the, you know, it reacts with the room and it creates this whole thing, and then we end up with Jimi Hendrix, right? Like the way that the music sounds. So you get this very expressive guitar playing that's based off of, you know, that you know, it's coming a lot from that tone and what that tone inspires, you know. And then as opposed to, you know, what if you play at a low volume and it's all overdrive coming out of the pedal or whatever, and unity gain or whatever, and you're not getting as much of that, you tend to play, it's just safer or something. It's a little different, you know. So if you say tubes rule, that is your opinion. It's not a fact. Sorry, I've had a lot of coffee today, Petey. Wait. Hold on. Oh, I still got my glasses on. Wait. If you say tubes rule, that is your opinion. It's not a fact. Okay, somebody make a GIF out of that or something. Somebody. Let's see. Acting. Exactly. Now I can become a member of SAG. Oh God. Let's see. Sorry, I'm so in a funny mood today. It's fun though. I'm having a good time. Yeah, okay. It's my opinion, but it's true. It's just reality. Tubes rule. I know Dimebag would have said no, you know. He would have said Randall, solid state. First car in 83 Camaro. I still have my 98, a Z28 rocket. I work on cars and trucks for a living. That's awesome. Guitars and amps next to my toolbox. Man, the Camaros were like I remember my dad showing up with a white Firebird with the blue bird on the hood, one day, and us going he kept it it was like a trade-in or something. That thing was so cool. It was like, Firebirds and Camaros were like, that was like sacrilege for my family because my dad was a Ford guy, but that car was pretty cool and he brought it home and he knew I'd have fun, like the white Firebird or whatever. And we went around, tore around town in that thing. I get good memories of some of those cars. Also, I've got a great memory of my buddy Jason Sutter that I did the Chris Cornell gig with. He's the drummer. We both got into the Van Halen. This is before I ever knew Ed, but we both got in to see the Van Halen Friends and Family reunion first show in 2007 before they actually went on tour with Dave. And so we were so stoked because it's like, oh my God, we get to go to this thing. There's going to be like 1,000 people there at the Forum or whatever. It was a rehearsal show. And he came and picked me up in his like 79 Trans Am, the black one with the bird on the hood. And we cranked Van Halen the whole way to the Forum. That was pretty cool. That's my second memory of one of those cars. But yeah. Okay. Tubes do rule. It's a scientific fact. Well, here's the thing. In all honesty, the thing about tubes is they're just more dynamic. You can't get around the fact. I'm sorry, but running it's a fact of the matter that they are just more dynamic because running something at such high voltage, like the 250 volts or whatever that preamp tubes see in a guitar amplifier, is juicy. It's dynamic. They really respond to rolling the volume down on the guitar and all that stuff, all that kind of explosive stuff. Now, yeah, okay, like whatever, like a pedal can sound really cool. It can be a thing, but they tend to be like a bit more. You're never going to find I'm sorry, they just don't clean up like that. Like they don't. Show me one that does. I've never heard one that does. That's the same, like one of the Plexi sound pedals. You can get really good pedals that mimic that sound of a crank Plexi these days, but none of them quite do where you roll the volume down on the guitar and it gets all glassy like a Van Halen thing, right? Just nothing does that. So I think it's impossible unless you had a pedal that was actually an actual tube preamp running at the right voltages and stuff, and then you pretty much got an amp and a pedal. But anyways, Jeff says, is there any pedal at higher gain settings that works well for a clean channel and a dirt channel without changing pedal settings? Not that I've really found, because if you've got a dirt channel that's already dirty and then you've got a fairly dirty pedal, it always sounds like a bit too much to me. Like, I mean, most going into dirty channels, usually you just want a little bit of grind on the pedal and then it to boost a little bit, and that'll send the amp into like quite a bit of sustain and saturation, and you know what I mean? In my experience anyway. So it's two different things. And I will use like the way that I set my Archer, like a Klon type, right, on my board, I can use it into the clean channel and I can also use it into the dirty channel, but it won't get either real dirty. It'll just mainly boost volume and add a little bit of overdrive. So it works the way that I set it into both channels actually. But higher gain settings, that's your question. I would say not really. It's kind of not that I've really found, different things. James Bell over there in the UK. What's up? I'm coming to visit you guys soon. Classic Rock Show. Oh boy, I've seen the set list. It's going to be good this year. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff. If you haven't seen the show before, it's going to be a great show. Tried any Kingsley tube pedals? Just got their Page tube boost. That sounds cool. I haven't actually, so those could be cool. Shove it at the end and slam it like amp drive, but at controllable volume. Enables you to keep the power amp open and not die. Sounds good to me. I'd like to try a Kingsley pedal. Thank you for the super chat as well. Thank you. A fuzz face is the only example of a convincing roll-off. That's a different thing. Yeah, I mean, sure, a fuzz face and what they do becomes a part of the guitar circuit, and the way that it interacts with the pickups is magic. Very special. Excuse me, I'm burping. Burp a lot these days. I don't know why. Too much information. Thank you for the awesome Van Halen pickup comparison video, says Andrew 5150. You bet, man. I learned a lot doing it. I'm a fan of pickups I wasn't before. I'm not as much of a fan of pickups as I was before, certain ones. I learned a lot. It was educational for me. I have a newfound love of newfound love of Alnico 2 magnets, which I always thought were maybe too dark for me, and now I realize it's pretty cool for a certain thing. And yep. It's always a journey. I'm open to learning. That was a great demo on the Harmonious Monk, says Todd. Thanks, man. It was fun. My first one back for a while, so it felt like I was dipping my foot back in the pool and enjoying myself. Really nice pedal. I took too long getting that one done for those nice folks at Jam Pedals. They were probably wondering, is this guy ever going to finish our video? But anyway, I hope they like the result. I noticed actually today it was getting more views for some reason. It started off really slow, and then it's like picked up now, and it's doing well. So that's nice. Hope they like it. They're nice people. What's the best tube amp for low volume performance for clean and higher gain? Nice combos for clean and higher gain. Will the JVM do it? Probably pretty good. You know, I like Marshall's combo offerings, generally speaking. I like Dave Friedman's combos because I like Dave a lot and he makes great stuff. So the Runts, probably really cool. Low volume performance, I'm just thinking like you get a little like, 110 Runt or whatever, 112. Are they 12s or 10s? I think they're 10s. Could be cool. What else? I didn't mind the little Mace Mark V 25s. They kind of a nice lead sound. I mean, it's not generally my thing as much, but I like that amp from what I heard. And it definitely do clean and high gain. Got all that going on. In all of your touring, what country has had the craziest fans? Bar none, South America. As a whole, the folks in Chile, Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, great crowds, like the best. They love art and music, and if you watch the Rush video that they filmed at Rush in Rio, I think it's called. Watch that, and the people just like it looks like you're at a rave, and it's a Rush show. They go crazy, and that's the way the crowds are down there. They're just great. I've had people crying coming up to me after shows, telling me how much it meant to them, and like I remember in particular, like one person coming up giving me a book of poetry. Like this is, this show meant so much to me. Here, I brought this for you. Like things like that. Like it's really like it's touching, and it's like the folks they're just really into it, and great crowds, great crowds down there in South America. Great crowds all over the world though, but there's just, folks in Latin America, they have a real passion for art and music. I love that. Super sticker from Lawrence. Thank you, man. Appreciate that, Lawrence. Thanks for being here. Thank you. And what else have we got here? Recently tried nickel strings. Was surprised by the difference it can make. Is it true EVH preferred broken in nickel? Yeah, what's funny? So when I was getting ready to do that show with Mitch Malloy, all the Van Halen songs, on the red and white and black guitar, I put the gauge, the nickel, like whatever, the right gauge, the Eddie gauge, 9-40, 15G. And they stayed on there for months and didn't break. And I was abusing the hell out of the bar. And I always thought nickel would be soft and kind of break more. I thought I'm going to bust a D string one of these days. I never did. It was so weird. And there were super flat spots like up and down the strings where the frets are, and stuff. But I do think it's a part of the sound, He evidently would never change strings when he was recording unless he broke one. And he liked the feel and the tone of broken in strings. They get real dark and kind of warmer. Kind of makes sense when you think about like the Alnico 2 magnets too, and like maybe a warmer sound, like when you get that bright plexi, it's kind of screaming and it's all a balance. And so the dark kind of dead strings, sure, and I like them too. And I got so into, I used these picks when I did that thing, which are really thin. They're like a nylon 60, and I used those strings and stuff, and it was just like, I'm just going to do all the stuff and get used to it. And it was really fun to kind of do all that stuff. So, did I miss super chats? I think I might have. What is your current live rig? Well, when I go over to do, I switch it up doing different things. I mean, like I used the Quad Cortex for the last couple of things that I did, which was very different for me, but worked really well. So, I'll go from that, and then when I go to Classic Rock Show in January, February, I would take my regular pedal board, which is a Musicom switcher with a bunch of different pedals and H9s and stuff like that on there, and my PT15. I'll use PT15, and I'm debating this time whether to use a 212 or 412 for the cabinet. It's a little bit about shipping and stuff like that, and how do we deal with that and the expense, because shipping to UK at 412 is expensive. But I kind of want to use a 412 for the tour, so I think I might just do it. 412 and one PT15. It sounded so good the last time. I loved the tone. I was very, very happy with the sound. So I don't really want to mess with it. I may switch out the DD 500 for a different delay, either a timeline or maybe go to a DD 200, just because I find it it's a great sounding delay. I find it a little bit complex programming wise. I may just go through and just 86 my old programs and try, and that might be what I do. Like just like screw the old, because I've got like 32 banks of presets of delays now that are like, I don't know where anything is anymore. I didn't name them right and stuff like that. And I find it a little finicky to program the DD500. But with that said, what I'm getting at is I may go through and just make like 10 presets that are like, this is all the delays you need, dude. Especially for the gig you're doing right now. So just let's get some great sounds, dial it in, and then we know where those 10 sounds are, literally like, 01A, 01B, 02A, 02B, like up to bank 5 and be done. Like there's your delays. Pick the one that's right for the song. Anyway, I digress. Is a Classic Rock Show coming to Germany? I would love to. I don't know if they have plans for doing Europe or not. I know they eventually want to do US stuff, so I'd love to see that happen, but I don't know when. I would love it though. What's your favorite part of Canada that you've been? I really love the West Coast. I mean, I love Vancouver as a city, and I like the island. And, I just feel really good there. It always makes me happy whenever I'm there. Who knows? I could end up living there someday. I've always really enjoyed that part of the world and that part of Canada. And so maybe, I could be happy there. I don't know. I know it rains a lot in the winter and it's still cold compared to where I live now. But I like it up there. Just feels good. It's a really good feeling city to me. Generally speaking, I don't know. Maybe I'd move there and go, I don't like it here. But I think I like it there. But I like lots of parts of Canada. I've been all the way across Canada from, I haven't been up north. I've never made it to Northwest Territories or Yukon or anything. I'd love to get up there at some point. But I've been all the way across. I've been to all the way from Vancouver to St. John's. I've done touring. One tour in particular with Melissa Etheridge took us all the way across the country in February. It was cold. That was a great trip, though. Good memories of that one. Yeah. Why ship cabinets to the UK? Isn't it cheaper to buy in the UK and sell it signed with your signature? Well, here's the thing: as I have 3 412s at this point, and maybe I could take one over there and then it could live over there. So you pay to ship it once, and then maybe it stays in the UK and I can use it, when I'm there. I should at this point, if I'm gonna do that gig, it would be good to just have a rig there because it's expensive sending things back and forth. So, and there is a head that I can use over there, PT15, that the Sir, nice gentleman over there, my friend Nigel, has. But he just has a 212 that is the matching 212 for this amp, actually, the 100. So we have a different 212 for the 15, and we have a 412 for the 100. I just think it'd be nice to represent the 412 on them. It's a big stage, and it looks cool, and it sounds really good, and it's the right Tolex and all that for the 15. So, yeah. Vancouver Island is awesome. It really is a beautiful, beautiful place. Newfoundland is the best, says Stealth Parrot. Very nice place, too. Very nice. Canada's a great country, man. I miss it. I do. I miss it. Vancouver seems like the most beautiful city in the world. Yeah, mountains, ocean, very cosmopolitan city in the middle. amazing park with Stanley Park right there. You want to be in the middle of nature on your lunch break from work downtown. You could do that in 10 minutes. Maybe not with traffic, but it's a gorgeous city. Like, it's got a little bit of everything. And yet it's sort of small. Like, it's not really like, huge or anything like that. So it's fairly condensed, and that could be, there's a fair amount of, it's a little compressed, but as far as there's a lot of people there, but it's cool, man. I love it up there. It's a great vibe, great food. BB Zonka in the super chat, considering combo slash and Neo Creamback and Neo V-Type, how do they differ from each other? Any drawbacks to the Neos? I like their Neo speakers. From my experience, the Neo, I'm not sure the efficiency. You should just look at the efficiency between the Creamback and the V-Type and make sure they're compatible within 2 dB of one another. So look for the efficiency, in the specs of each speaker. Sometimes I have a hard time forming words these days. Should I be concerned? Anyways, I like the V-Type. It's probably closer to, I always heard it as a cross between a Greenback and a V30 sort of. And the Creamback, Neo Creamback, is really pretty similar to a Greenback. Has a worn-in Greenback. Great sound. So I would think that would be a good combo. Probably sound pretty cool. Yeah. Let's see. If I didn't live in the U.S., Vancouver would be the place where I'd love to live. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the way I feel at this point. I've got a lot of friends in Toronto as well, and it seems like kind of like the place to be, the music business. Every time I go there, I've never felt like I want to live there. I don't know. I like it. I like to visit, but I don't feel like I want to move here. I want to rent a place here. I want to live in the city. I want to whatever. I feel that when I go to Vancouver, I'm like, man, I could live here. I could live there. I could I could live in Kitsilano. I could live in North Vancouver. I'm totally stoked on all these neighborhoods, and I just really enjoy it. So housing is not cheap here, though. Are you in Vancouver? But it's not cheap where I am either. So it's friggin' expensive where I live. So I live in California, man. Do you know any of the guys from Toque? Sure, man. I played a show with them. We did a gig in Winnipeg few years ago, 2-3 years ago. You probably find videos of it, but we had a hell of a lot of fun. I know all those guys. I love those guys. Great guys. Matter of fact, I've known Brent Fitz for since the 80s. So they're old friends. Yeah. And they've all done so well for themselves, playing with Slash and stuff, and living down in Las Vegas. Yeah. Moved to England, cheap as anything. That's not true. I know that. I mean, maybe some places are, but not probably where I would end up living. I'd want to live in London or something, then it would be ridiculous. Did you already mention the tubes rule? I did, actually. Yeah. I hope somebody's made some sort of something out of my performance earlier, and it gets reposted lots. Let's see. What are the headpins doing these days? I don't know. I think Darby just did a song with the Toque guys, didn't she? I would think. I mean, to me, but Brian McLeod was the headpins. I mean, Darby and him, but that's he was the Eddie Van Halen, so you can't really, without him, I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. Wales is beautiful. I like Wales. I like Germany. I like Scotland. All you folks talking about fun places I want to go visit again soon. What else? Ben Coombs says he's going to do a Halloween group hang tonight. That should be fun. We got 420 people online. Great to have you all here for the Halloween edition. I know. I didn't really go to much of an effort, but I did think I need something this morning, and I went and grabbed this because it was it had to be something. I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, it's Halloween. Gotta think of these things. I don't go all out like Richie Kotzen. Perhaps you've seen his videos. You should check out his Halloween videos on his Instagram if you haven't. Always pretty entertaining. Yeah. I live in London and confirm it's not cheap. Yeah. Every time I go there, it's like, okay, let's go get a coffee and some whatever. And it's like, oh, I think we just spent $24. You know? $2 million for a postage stamp teardown in Vancouver. Yeah, I would probably go condo. That would be the best I could do, you know. I kind of like that living anyway, though, to be honest. You know, I don't need a house at this point in my life. Maybe in a few years, who knows? But right now, I'm a condo guy because I can take off and button it up. It's safe. Don't need to worry about a yard, all that. You know, works well for traveling. Yeah. Well, it's Blue Rodeo. Blue Rodeo is a great band. Colin Cripps, terrific guitar player that plays with them, and I knew him many years ago from one of the first tours I ever did with Adam Cohen, and he was out there, and he's a real guitar nerd. He's got some beautiful vintage guitars, and I remember him gifting me a Mullard rectifier tube for my top hat King Royale, because it was basically an AC30 tube rectified. So Colin, great guy, great guitar player, and I remember he gave me a Mullard. I owe him a rectifier tube one of these days. Yeah. Super chat there from Sloppy Fingers. I'm primarily a rock player. Love to mix it up by delving into classical or fingerstyle. Have you ever? Yeah, a little bit. It's really fun. I mean, I bought a book once of classical pieces, and I had a nylon string guitar, and I would sit there and work on them, you know, and it was really fun for me. I never took lessons, but I remember learning, you know, some simple, you know, some Bach pieces and stuff, and it was like really beautiful and fun to sit there and do that. And I don't know. I mean, not necessarily better to stick to one style. I mean, look at Randy Rhoads, how these classical stylings, you know, informed his rock playing and writing. So, you know, it's all about having fun and moving forward and whatever you want to do, you know. Yeah. Your Van Halen video was the best I've seen, says Rob. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. Are you the Rob Zombie? Your mask is kind of like mine. It's like happier. Hello. Diary of a Madman is so good. It really is. So cool. That's one of my favorite, you know, I mean, as far as that Ozzy era and Randy, that's probably the coolest for me. That's the pinnacle. That song that's so cool. Nobody was writing stuff like that in the hard rock kind of, I mean, it's so unique and cool. And that's a great, you know, just to take it around to, I wrote an article a little while ago on rock guitar it was maybe one of the last things I did for Premier Guitar, but it was about his rock eating itself kind of. And if you don't have outside influences, this is to the gentleman's point about should I study other styles and things. If you don't have outside influences, it tends to, you know, like, what was our band influenced by? Well, we were influenced by Led Zeppelin and Guns N' Roses, you know, and then it like sounds like those bands, but sort of like a watered down version of those bands. Was the gist of my article. It was like, if you don't have, well, you know, my parents listened to vaudeville music when I was growing up, so that got in there, and my sister was into this, but I wanted to play metal, and then it's like you write a certain way, you know, that was Black Sabbath or, you know, the Beatles or, you know, great bands. They had all this, you know, as rock and roll was when rock and roll didn't exist, it was made out of an amalgamation or whatever of you know, obviously rhythm and blues and stuff, but also we had, you know, the Beatles, like with their, you know, like a lot of the you know, like I say, Paul McCartney was vaudeville, you know, it was like you can hear it in the writing, right? That's Lady Madonna or you know, George's, you know, got interested in you know, music from India and stuff, and how that kind of informed their songwriting, and so you end up with this rock music is really interesting, right? So, anyways, with Ozzy couldn't do Diary of a Madman without Randy and his interest in classical guitar. You know, it was like that was so cool. It was like so really great. You know, so yeah, I think it's a good thing to dabble. You don't even have to like get super into it. You just have to dabble, and then it gets interesting. You know, you know, just take some lessons or like get a little bit involved in how that sound informs, and you get George Harrison out of that. You know, and it's like it's so interesting. You know, and you know, so. What else? What else? What else? If you've played with Colin, could you share his rig? I don't remember, to be honest, what he was using. It was a long time ago. It was 99. So can't remember what he was using back then. Yeah. If not for outside influences, would we have had Ice Cream Man? Yeah, Dave. Honestly, Dave's was it What Is Hip? I can't remember. Recently, I heard that the sort of impetus or whatever, the influence for Mean Street was, I think, What Is Hip, maybe. Him bringing, like whatever he was into, obviously Ice Cream Man is, his probably born out of, because he plays the acoustic guitar on that, right? He was, had really, he was super into, I think like James Brown and Kool and the Gang and all kinds of stuff. And he brought that into Van Halen, and that made that chemistry made those interesting songs, and think about like the jazz with Van Halen, like Big Bad Bill and all that fun stuff. We wouldn't have had that without Eddie and, hearing his dad, jazz, played clarinet, right, around the house and stuff. So all those neat things, and now we've got that kind of with, like, I think you hear that. I mean, I don't know, like, what about like Old Town Road and stuff, like the crazy, combination of sounds and styles, when you end up mixing hip hop and country or something, and it makes for interesting music and something that people go, well, that's different, it's like, so within the rock or metal genre or whatever, we just need to keep that alive, I think, because a lot of it starts to sound really samey otherwise, like the riffs and the rhythms and the lyrics and it gets distilled down. It starts to sound pretty cookie cutter if we're not careful. That's all. It's fun to mix it up, right? So everybody copies everyone else at some point. Yeah, but in the 60s, you had, George Harrison, getting influenced by, sounds that he was hearing from, folks playing the sitar or whatever, So then he's copying that, but doing it within so that's what I'm getting at is, yeah, it all gets distilled, but it's like, if you've got disparate influences and stuff, then you can get some really interesting results if your ears are open enough to take it in and go, now what if I did this in my, because that was classical metal or, like whatever, like Yngwie and, right, like Paganini. And then like, what if I did it with a Marshall and whatever, and mixed it with a lot of Ritchie Blackmore, Flair. So Flair, Jennifer Aniston. I don't like to talk about my Flair. Christopher Kroom says, what are the differences, similarities between your 72 Marshall SL68 and Top Hat and Plexador? I have an SL67. It's one of my favorite amps. Would the Plexador be redundant? Mostly redundant, I would say. If you got, say, for your SL67, the hot mod thing from Legendary Tones, you've almost got all the sounds, I would say, pretty close to what you could do with the Top Hat. And the Top Hat's great, but it's also got a effects loop, so there's some things about it. But so the 72 Marshall is, first of all, 50 watt to 100 watt. There's something about 50 watts that are just, they've got a bit more compression, a bit, there's definitely less volume and all that stuff. So they sound a little different than Marshall 100. So mine's a 50. So the SL68 on full power and stuff is going to be bolder and just have a bit more of that 100 character, a bit more of that, but I don't know how to describe it other than it's bold rather than a little more compressed and a little softer. There is a certain rawness to the Marshall that's really cool. That's just like, it sounds great. I don't know. It's just like, does that thing, My 68 is, it's got a variac mode in it, so you can do that thing with it, which gets a little more, it just sounds a little more authentically Van Halen, I guess. The Amplexador, the gain mod in it is really cool. It sort of sounds JCM 800, but more refined, I guess, when you switch it into the gain mode. It also has the bright cap on it gets quite aggressive, or you can switch out the bright cap and then it's essentially like dark, kind of, bit more. I tend to like the bright cap on. It seems like And that goes for most Marshalls. It seems to be too dark without it. So, and then the JTM 45 front end thing with the switch, it changes the EQ values. It's pretty cool, but I tend to leave it in the more the lead spec kind of mode than the 45. So bright cap on, more lead spec, later lead spec, the JTM 45, and gain boost on or off depending on what I'm doing, on that amp. I don't know if that really tells you the differences, but with an effects loop and gain boost in it and stuff, it's just got a few more options. But your SL67 that's just a stellar amp, and you can augment it with boosts and different pedals and stuff, or get maybe one of those hot mod things that I reviewed, the legendary tones thing, if you want some more of that character, because that'll work well in that amp, I think. And I don't know. You're going to get different flavors of great with different amps. So you already got a great amp there. Honestly, that's the way I feel about it. I love my 68, and I could probably do the rest of my life with just that amp, and it would be fun for me, yeah. Okay. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Did you study and get all the modes, not just Dorian, Lydian, Mixolydian, under your fingers? Well, Aeolian is really important in the rock sort of, if you want to play Stairway to Heaven or, that sort of natural minor. I would Phrygian. I mean, I do a lot of stuff like in my video demos and stuff that's pretty Phrygian without thinking about it. I'll write it and then go, I'm doing this kind of half step thing a lot. And of course, I got to play Phrygian over this. So I've done a lot of that. If I'm trying to write something, that sounds sort of progressive metal these days, I always seem to end up in that mode. So it's more like I write something, what my ear wants to hear, and then I realize that this is the mode now that I need to use to play around it. But yeah, I would say that Dorian, Aeolian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian. I ain't doing no Locrian, generally speaking. That's not happening ever, maybe, in the history of me. So far, maybe we'll get there someday. Yeah. I'll probably get an SL67 or 68 before buying an actual Marshall. Marshalls are really expensive these days. Like they just went up and up and up. The old ones used to be. I mean, I got a great deal on that one, but on that one, that ain't happening anymore. I mean, for the price of that now, what you would pay for a 72 or 73 or 74, you can easily buy an SL67 or 68, and it's like a little more usable with the master. A little more reliable, what you're getting into. You don't got to take and get it recapped, most likely, and you get the Variac mode. It's like it gets you there in style, and it's modern and reliable, and I don't know. I still wanted that one when I got it, but it was also under $2,000. It was like it was a reasonable price, and you know what I'm saying. So. If I could only have one, it would be the SL68. I will tell you that. If I could keep, say, that 50-watt Marshall, the 72, and the SL68, I would keep the SL68 because it's got more options and it's a little more. It gets you there, and it gets you that tone, and it's reliable, and it's more versatile with the master and the built-in Variac thing. Yeah. If you. Okay, what's this? Which would you prefer if you had to use one? Oh, I don't know. Both are cool. I've done videos for both of them. Guitar Rig is really cool. I made presets for them. Amplitude 5 is cool. It's probably a little more like changed with the times a bit more, like as far as the workflow goes and the way that, so if that's a factor for you, some people like the old rack kind of configuration of Guitar Rig, though, like it looks like a rack. So tones are good in both. I don't know. I mean, Amplitude 5 really quite good for what it is. Dude, honestly, like for Marshall in a plugin, I'm gonna tell you the best ones I've tried is the PT100 is kick-ass, which you can now get for like next to nothing, and it's off used to be UA exclusive, and now you can get it just from Brainworks or Plug-in Alliance. So check out the PT100. Try a demo of it. I'm sure you can. It's amazing for those sounds. It's a great modded Marshall. You'll be able to get the lower gain tones out of it too, just with the gain boost off on the channel 2 or whatever. Turn the bright on, and you will have it, and it sounds awesome. The other one that was really great for Marshall sounds was Mercurial. You'll find that on my channel. It's a Marshall plugin from Russia. Comes from Russia, and they make a Marshall kind of suite. And I also did a video for their Bogner Ecstasy style plugin, which is really good. They do a nice job, those folks, and so I remember their Marshall sounding particularly good. But the PT100, honestly, man, is say that or the Friedman BE 100 from same company, Plug-in Alliance. They're both great, yeah. It's my plugin, but you try it and tell me it doesn't. It's just a joy to play through. It really is an amazing plugin. A lot of people have, like Steve Stevens and other folks have told me they just, it's so easy to use and it sounds great. So it's just a really kick-ass plugin. Just sounds real. I don't know. Some of them sound like, you know what I mean? It's like the difference between a modeling thing and then some of them you play through it and you go, this could be an amp in the other room, mic'd. So I really feel that way about it. I wouldn't put my stamp on it if I didn't, but it's kick-ass. It really is. Give it a try and tell me I'm wrong. Tell me, no, it sounds fake. Don't tell me that, but tell me that if you think so. Yeah. John says the Pink Taco and Amplitude 5 is my fave, but it stinks compared to the real thing. See, I can't comment, but I don't think that you'll feel like the PT100 stinks compared to the real thing. It really sounds good, like a PT1. They do a great job, the Plug-in Alliance people. They know how to model stuff, whatever they're doing over there. They know what they're doing. Thanks, says ST. Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat. You are awesome. Wow, this show's gone fast, man. It's 1:27 already. I'm going to go for another 15 minutes till 1:45, and then I'm going to get some food and get some work done, and then it's Halloween time, whatever that means for everybody out there. It's probably time for the mask to go get back in costume mode for why not? Let's have some fun. Agree, it is truly awesome, says Stealth Parrot. What's going on with my hair with this thing? It's kind of funny. There, that's better. Mr. Super Chat, James. Sorry, bud. Let's find it. James Turner. Don't want to make him mad. He'll come after me with a mask like this on. Christopher, we got to that. James, dude, sorry. James, just ask your question one more time right at the bottom because it's not coming up in the chat now. I missed it. And I owe you, my friend. I owe you. Let's see. Is the PT100 plugin standalone? I don't know that if you can use it outside of the DAW or not. I never do. I always use it within Logic. So that's something like whether or not Plug-in Alliance has a thing, a player or whatever, or a host for their plugins that you can use standalone. Not sure. Good question. Is that the Shatner mask? I don't know. One chicken bucket coming up. I think it is PT. This is the code. I don't know if this still works for a discount, but yeah, $29.99. For a while, this code was that Jeff put up was working to get the plugin for $29.99. Yeah. Any chance of having Steve Lukather as a guest? I would love to. I can ask. I should, right? This is a great piece of advice from Aquila. I find adding Celestion IRs to Amplitude sounds better than IKs. I have not splashed out in their Sunset Sound plugin yet, though I really want that one. Sunset Sound plugin is awesome, the Reverb plugin. Definitely, I would suggest using external IRs, and I would agree that adding them to Amplitude 5 makes a big difference. Just like using, I like with the Helix to use Celestion IRs too. It makes a big difference. Same thing in Amplitude. It's got a great IR loader in it, so you can use it and load up different IRs, and it's kick-ass. Vanilla Sky. Yeah, that's true. Tom Cruise, Vanilla Sky. Yeah, I had to wear that weird mask. Yeah. That mask had some wah and some TS9 type gain. Accurate, Lawrence. That's fully accurate. Yes, the code still does work. That's awesome to know. Okay, so you can still get it. Look no for it's $29.99. Come on now. Go for it. Will it work in Reaper? I don't know. I know it's VST and all. I can use it within Logic as an audio units plugin and stuff, and it works great. So I use an Ableton, says Stealth Parent. I think it'll work in just about anything. Yeah. Okay. What else we got here? There was okay, there we go. There's James with his question. Sorry I missed your original super chat, but let's do it now. I'm buying a Plexi style this week. SL67, 68, or Germino. Top hat are your choices. Unlike you, I can only have one for Hendrix to Blackmore. Hendrix to Blackmore, any of those are going to get you there. I would say I'd be more like if you wanted, like AC/DC to metal or something. But Hendrix to Blackmore, it's hard to go wrong. Just know with the 67 or the 68, with that SL67 or 68, it's like because of the post-phase master and the Variac options, you've got options to lower the volume with either. So I wouldn't buy based on like, one's 50 watts, so I can get less volume. Just buy based on I want the tone of a 50 or the tone of 100. Because they're versatile enough, and the post-phase master works great down just a little bit to reduce the, like, I've used the SL68 in a kind of supper club lounge bar kind of place to play with a band once, and I had the master on like 7, cranked pretty up, and it was perfect volume with the drummer. Not too loud. So you think 100-watt Marshall, like, oh no, it's going to blow out the place. It was great for, like, nobody told me to turn down. It was just settled right in with the drums. So my point being, pick the 67 or the 68 based more on if you want that slightly more compressed, slightly different sound that a 50-watt Marshall gives you over the 100, the bolder sound. Okay. And then Germino makes great stuff. I've got that one back there, which is really cool. It's, I don't know if he does the 68. It's really hard to beat an SL68 because of the Variac thing. It's such a great option to have the low voltage mode. And it was really, it's just one simple thing that really sets it apart from a lot of other amps to me. But I know a lot of people really like Greg's amps, and Sir has a lot of respect for Germino, and he does beautiful work, So the top hat, a bit more of that modern, the Implexador's got the gain boost mode. It's got a loop in it that you can use, and also a great amp. I don't know. I'd say it's hard to go wrong with any of those, to be honest, You say, I don't know if I ever said that. Gibson Les Paul Studios for beginners. I don't know if I ever said that. It's a great guitar. And you love tacos. I love tacos too, and I eat them too much, I think. But can there ever be too many tacos? I don't know. What do you guys think? Les Paul Studios, it's a standard without binding, it just makes it, they can sell it for a few $100 less because it's bindings are hard to do and expensive. So there's not really a hell of a lot of difference beyond that. At least in the old days there wasn't. I don't know if they're slightly different now, but nothing wrong with a studio. John says $149 for the PT100 plug-in. I don't know, to be honest, what the price is, but if you put in PT100/$29.95, you should be able to get it for that price because folks are saying it still works, that code. Yeah. I love my 84 Studio. Is it white? I remember when they first came out, they had white ones and black ones. Yeah. Do you write lyrics and original songs? I'm not a hell of a, like, I do rarely. I wouldn't consider myself a lyricist, although I've done it and written a few tunes. That I've got one that I've got to still release one of these days. I've been talking about putting it out forever. That's me singing, and it's I got to get it out because it's just a habit that's sitting. I should just release it tomorrow or something. But I've been meaning to put it out forever. But yeah, I like to write with a lyricist and be like what if you said this, if they're stuck, and offer opinions. But I don't consider myself, I'm more like a melody music guy. That's what I like to do. And I like to work with a singer, Yeah. Yeah. What else have we got here? Just reading through some of the things here, trying to look for questions. Have you seen the Stones recently? I haven't. I was out of town when they played LA. Otherwise, I might have gone. I was in Wisconsin. I would have said they put out some serious blues cover music. I see what you did there, Patrick. Ode to Mr. McCartney. I would love to see them again, but they've passed through LA and did their 2 gigs here and stuff. And who knows if they'll tour again. I would hope they would, but getting pretty up there. So I missed out on this tour. I just happened to be out of town. My second trip in 2 years, and I wasn't here for the Stones. So is this true? Is that a thing? I don't think that's a thing. Or is it, Mark? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Okay. Let's all wish David a happy birthday. He's 60 as of tomorrow. Graduated to Old Fart. Musician, songwriter, studio owner, and proud Old Fart. Hey, man. Proud Old Fart. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, my friend. We're all getting older, aren't we? It is what it is. Super chat down at the bottom there from September Fire. Can I connect a Boss IR200 directly to my Headrush FR speakers? I don't see why not. I have only used standalone plug-in with speakers. Yeah, sure. Let's unbox one. I have one right here. We'll make an impromptu unboxing video. What do we got? Let's take a look at it. I've never seen it, so I have trouble getting it out of it. This is actually how I unbox stuff when nobody's watching. I draw things and break them, cause problems. Of course, it's that 200 series size. That's nice. There it is. Obviously, I have to make a video of this very soon. The Boss IR200. It's got amps in there. It's got IRs in there. It looks nice. I like the gray silver. Pretty cool. Kind of looking forward to that actually this week. Get going on that. I've got to do a video for finishing the video for this Madman guitar that I talked about at the beginning, and then I'm doing one for this as well as for another very interesting acoustic electric guitar that comes from Ireland, and a whole bunch of pedals that line up. So I got to do a bunch. I said November is going to be a busy month of videos. Took a little downtime there, and now I got to get back to it. It works, said John. PT100 downloaded. Dude, plug it in and rock. I think there's presets that are included from me. One of them is called Pete Basic 3-channel or something like that. And that is my, if you go from channel 1 to 2 to 3, you'll hear the main kind of tones that I set up, like how I would set it up for a 3-channel kind of situation. So try that preset and tell me it doesn't sound good. It's a bitchin' plugin. Really, really good for just sitting and jamming at home. And, it's awesome. So, yeah. Why do I have to make an account to download the plugin? Probably because they want your information. They want your email. They want your private. I want your private information. So they can send you endless emails and tell you about deals. And when they put up other, it's modern, it's marketing. It's capitalism. Also probably just because you have to download, you got to download it and they need to send it to an email address anyway and stuff like that. Give you code, authorization, all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. All right. Did you go to Shank Hall in Milwaukee? That rings a bell. I think I've played there. For sure. Yeah. Let's see here. What else we got? Oh, I guess today only for any plugin, they have a sale for $29 if you want to buy the PT100 plugin. They have a Halloween sale. That's interesting. That's cool. So it's a good day to buy anything for Plugin Alliance. They make lots of great stuff. Any newer exciting pedals? Well, I guess I already answered that kind of with this one. I really want to see what this thing sounds like. This will do full long 500 millisecond IRs. I think it's kind of their answer really to the, it's like a Strymon Iridium. Is it the Iridium, right? The amp Strymon, but with more options in there and stuff. So it'll be cool to try. Give it a go and see what it sounds like. From my friends at Boss. Let's see. We got Mark there. Thanks for this great Sunday live. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for being here. Happy Halloween to you, my friend. I hope you have a good one. And I'll take off in about 5 minutes here. We got a few less people. There's 370 online. It's winding down, it seems. So we will sign off soon. What does the PT100 emulate? Channel 1 is really Blackface Fender, like a twin meets Super Reverb. And then channel 2 is Marshall, but modified and optimized and just to be kick-ass. You know, dialed in, modded Marshall, really. With the boost on, you can get crazy gain. With it off, you can get, you know, plexi to high gain JCM 800 or something. So it's really a great all-around plugin for just about anything other than AC30 kind of tones. You know, you can get great, especially if you combine it. Like if you were to use channel 1, but then because you can turn off the impulse response modeling in it, turn off the cab sim portion and run it into like another cab sim, like in a plugin. So you could run through like a 1.8 or a 110 and probably get a great Princeton reverb vibe out of it. Or run into turn up the gain on channel 1 and maybe hit the boost on channel 1 and run into like a, you know, 112 Tweed style IR of some sort. And I bet you'd get into Tweed Deluxe territory pretty easy. You know, it's just a really great plugin. So, yeah. Okay. What else? Did you make your amp shelves or buy a bookcase? Somebody made that for me. Actually, a dude custom made the furniture for me. And it's just kind of worked out well over the years, actually, to it happened to have that 2 rack space slot at the top, which was perfect for the amp switcher that you can see up there. So that was nice. And it's you know, I've taken them with me to 3 different studio spaces now. So the shelves work good. Naive Steve says, sorry, I'm late. Just in from the pub. You missed my mask. All right, you guys. I guess I should split. I'm going to get some lunch and stuff and then get some work done. I need to finish the video for this Maton guitar. It's a guitar from Australia that I'm making a video for. It's a Guitar World review. I'll just show it to you again real quick for the folks that weren't here at the beginning. You can see what I'm doing. It's this jobby. A guy named Joe Robinson is his signature model. I checked out his YouTube channel. He's a really good guitar player from Australia that has a bunch of albums out. You can see in the sound hole, see the microphone in there? It's got a microphone in it. It's on a little gooseneck, and you can move it around. And, of course, it does change the sound. Interestingly, if you move it under the soundboard, it sounds more MIDI and kind of maybe not as good. And if you put it right here, it sounds more open and really natural. So it's nice having the mic in there. So I've recorded most of the video with the guitar plugged directly in and just using the internal system to record the parts. And it sounds quite nice, I must say. You can blend the microphone with the under saddle pickup, and it's all in phase and sounds good. So that's a Maton acoustic coming to you from the nice folks at Maton in Australia. Melbourne. All right. For anybody out there that gets the plugin, let me know what you think next week. Come on back and let's tell me what you think. But I think it's a great plugin if you haven't experienced it. Everybody have a terrific week. Happy Halloween to you. Be safe out there if you go out and do anything crazy tonight. Watch out for crazy drivers, Halloween parties and all that, you know. And I will see you guys. There's a super chat. No one missed that. Sorry. Oh, oops. Almost signed off without. Vincent, what's up, man? Building a wet dry rig 2 Orange Rocker 15 is going to use a micro pitch. Should I set it to wet amp or dry? Huh? Send it to wet amp or dry. You might have the most fun with it just as a stereo rig. So like use the Eventide in the loops. Send out of the 1 amp to the Eventide, and then come stereo out of the Eventide to that first amp's effect return, and also to the second Rocker 15's effect return. So now you're essentially just stereo, and then just blend in the micro pitch. I think you'll enjoy that the most. You could go mono and then just have the 1 amp be, but I think for what you're trying to do, if you're gonna have the most fun, separate them a little bit, and you'll hear the spread, and it'll be cool. That's probably the best way to do it there, my friend. I think. Let us know how it works out. And I will talk to you guys real soon. See you next week. Have an awesome week. Thanks for all the super chats. Happy Halloween.